Hello and welcome back to Tricolor Gaming with me, Fletcher. So I don't think that it's controversial to say that the hybrid DLC was received with some mixed results. One part of this comes from the general dislike by some parts of the community for hybrids in general. Something common I have seen is people lamenting the use of hybrids over real animals. So today I want to come up with 3 alternative animal packs. Now these packs are not packs that I think are realistic given that the game is in the twilight of its developments, but these are packs that I think would have been better received than the hybrids. Pack 1. The Carboniferous Crawlers pack. So this pack is focused around bringing in giant creepy crawlies and other animals from the Carboniferous period. This period in Earth's history is well known for its very high oxygen levels, which fueled the growth of very large insects and other arthropods. So what animals would I put in this pack? Firstly, for the aviary, would be the giant dragonfly Meganura. This dragonfly is the largest known flying insect of all time, with a wingspan estimated around 60 to 75 centimeters, but there are fragmentary remains that point to even larger wingspans. This huge dragonfly was predatory and would eat from the meat feeders or the insect feeder in the aviary. I can see it having some quite decorative iridescent skins or even glow-in-the-dark abilities. Its main dig site would be located in France. Next, we have for our normal enclosures the giant arthropod Arthroplura. This is largely considered one of the largest arthropods of all time, and is commonly depicted as a giant millipede-like animal. With tracks found around Canada but also Scotland, this giant armoured plant eater would measure around 2 meters long, making it a lot larger than some of our smaller dinosaur species. I would love to see these guys crawling around our tropical island parks, and could imagine their social animations being especially interesting with them rearing up to interact. Next, we have an aquatic animal, Edaphosaurus. This very strange shark-like animal is known for its bizarre jaw shapes, which bear resemblance to the strange whorls of the Helicoprion. Edaphosaurus, however, had whorls on both of its jaws. Found around the USA, Russia and the UK, this shark-like animal is estimated to have grown around 6 to 7 meters long, which, if it was added to our lagoons, would make it one of our larger species. The final animal that I would want to add to this pack is Pulmonoscorpius. This supersized scorpion is estimated to have grown to at least 70 centimeters long and would represent a giant carnivorous arthropod for our parks. I can imagine these easily being able to chase and eat compies and other smaller dinosaurs. I can also imagine that these guys would glow in the dark, in reference to the fact that scorpions can fluoresce in UV light. I imagine that this pack would be pretty well received by folks who love walking with monsters. I think this pack, given the fragmentary nature of some of the animals included in it, would have also given Frontier some creative liberties with size and the design of these animals. Pack 2, Flyers Through Time DLC. So this pack would be related to the Marine Creatures DLC, but would instead focus on adding new Terrasaur species, with 4 species coming from different time periods. Pinosaurus would represent a Triassic period animal, a small early pterosaur with a wingspan between 60 centimeters and 1 meter. It bears some resemblance to Dimorphodon, including having a long tail and teeth in its jaws. Its diet would likely have been similar, including small reptiles, insects and such. While there are more interesting animals, I think some extra Triassic period representation would have been a good thing for the game. Darwinopterus is another smallish pterosaur from the middle Jurassic period. It's interesting because it represents a link between long-tailed pterosaurs and short-tailed ones, with features of both. It comes from China and is known by a lot of specimens. This one is here mostly as a representative of an interesting species. Germanodactylus is a late Jurassic period pterosaur with a 1 meter wingspan and is most well known amongst other similar pterosaurs for its soft tissue crest. It's a relatively normal pterosaur, however it would represent a European species and an animal from Germany, a country well known for various important fossil beds. Thalassodromeus would be the largest pterosaur added by this pack idea, with a wingspan of around 4.5 meters. What is most distinctive about this Cretaceous period pterosaur is its huge head and very distinctive shaped crest. Coming from Brazil, this animal was largely considered a fish eater until work done examining its jaw structure indicated that it could have also caught other prey or feasted on meat from carcasses and dinosaurs. The purpose of its huge crest is unknown, but the usual ideas of sexual display and thermal regulation are postulated. In game, I would make use of that huge crest and give it some distinct lux patterns, so that we would have our first lux aviary species. I think a pack like this or any future aviary pack would only be accepted generally by the community if it came with some general aviary species upgrades, such as social animations for them and walking animations. I think any aviary focused DLC pack that did not come with these would run the risk of annoying the community. Pack 3. The Time Before DLC. This pack would be mostly focused on animals that came from before the Mesozoic period from a range of time zones. The principal and probably most sought over animal from this pack would be the giant gorgonopsid in Austransevia. This large saber-toothed predator has a big following amongst people in the community, and for good reason. One of the largest predatory animals of its time, measuring around 3.5 meters long, it would certainly add a new, powerful animal to the parks. It would also bring its four-legged upright stance, something that would certainly be helpful for modders or other similar animals. I can imagine this guy having some very brutal kill animations on other animals, especially with those big saber teeth. Next up would be the Edaphosaurus, a large herbivore that lived around the same time as and was likely prey for Dimetrodon. Edaphosaurus also possessed a very large sail on its back, whose purpose is again, like many animals with sails or plates in paleontology, always under discussion. Measuring around 3.5 meters long, it was, like Dimetrodon, a very large animal for its time. I imagine in game that it would have some decorative sail-based decorations, or even perhaps some lux skins. I also think that given Dimetrodon is already in-game, it's good to have its prey item there as well. Next up would be the aquatic animal Stethacanthus. I picked this guy over the Permian period Helicoprion because Stethacanthus is smaller, and I think the lagoons have plenty of large animals. Stethacanthus is well known because of its very strange anvil on its head, whose exact purpose is a total mystery. Its maximum size would be around 3 meters long. Apart from the strange anvil, it would be basically a shark, but I think fairly easy to implement, as its animations would be pretty similar to Dunkleosteus or Ichthyosaurus. Its anvil could also result in some unusual social animation ideas. Finally, this pack would introduce the synapsid Moschops. This beefy animal was in some respects a halfway between Dimetrodon and a gorgonopsid. It doesn't have its back sail, but has more of an upright pose. It measured around 3 meters long and was a herbivore, and would probably have had to spend a lot of time feeding due to the poor nutrition of its diet. Some paleontologists believe that the animal would have engaged in headbutting contests with others with its short, stout neck, which would have been good ideas for social animations. Coming from South Africa, it would also be good for the game to have some more fossil finds from this continent. I think this pack would be pretty well received for the gorgonopsid, but of course it would require new animation rigs for animal movement, which would represent more work. So there we have it. 3 DLC pack ideas that I think would be better received than the hybrid DLC. Let me know down in the comments which pack you would buy if you could, and why. Don't forget while you're there to give the video a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Until the next video, stay safe and goodbye.